permit me to leverage the well-established protocol to continue with this afternoon press briefing in continuation with today's Joint Task Force South-South Operation Data Safe Conference. For the year 2024, I shall be giving press briefing on the achievement of the Joint Task Force South-South Operation Data Safe from January 2024 to date. The Joint Task Force South-South Operation Data Safe has continued to deliver on its mandate, which is to protect oil and gas infrastructure and deter militancy, sea robbery, crude oil theft, and other forms of criminality within the 10 states of its joint operation area that could impact negatively on economic activities in the Niger Delta. The Joint Task Force activities covers 10 states of Bayelsa, Delta, Imo, and River states, as well as the southern part of Abia, Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Edo, Ondo, and Anambra states, where oil activities are ongoing. The task force has continued to engage in various activities which have resulted to modest achievement towards actualizing its mandate within the year 2024, having worked so seriously in its mandate within the year to ensure that crude oil production increased from about 1.2 million barrels per day at the beginning of the year to about 1.83 million barrels currently. It becomes expedient for this conference today. Of course, this feat came along with some challenges. Notably, the supreme price paid by some of our colleagues, which we're all aware. The need for today's conference is to assess our performances and project for the year 2025, which is necessary to sustain the Joint Task Force efforts to enhance Nigerian economic prosperity towards our national development, as emphasized by the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Grand Commander of Federal Republic, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Nigeria. Having laid the foundation to highlight on our achievement, I will quickly delve into the achievement of the task force within this period. Following the abysmal reduction in crude oil production output in the second quarter of the year, the President and Commander-in-Chief gave a marching order to the Chief of Defense Staff, General C.G. Musa, also of the Federal Republic, to end crude oil theft and scale up production to 2.2 million barrels before the end of the year. Accordingly, the Operation Data Safe launched a 90-day operation which was aimed at restoring oil and gas production to full capacity within the South-South and the Southeast geopolitical zones. The operation had been conducted and concluded in 2 phases, with each phase lasting 45 days. The operation ended, to be precise, on 16th October 2024, with remarkable successes resulting to major achievements as I will enumerated. As of today, there's sheer reduction in crude oil theft and illegal refining activities to about 85% within the first quarter of year 2024. Secondly, there has been a sustenance of terminal factors of about 95% on the Trans-Niger pipeline, Trans-Hamus, and Trans-Escavot pipelines in the last 3 months, as well as the key performance indicator of 89, 96, and 97% in the east, west, and central corridors, respectively, as at 4 December 2024, not minding the current infractions here and there. The third achievement by the OPDS is, as I earlier pointed out, the upscaling of crude oil output from 1.2 million barrels per day at the beginning of the year to 1.83 million barrels as at today. This, of course, is geared towards attaining the 2.2 million barrel benchmark at the end of the year. We are not there yet, but we have to get there. Again, we've continued to picket facilities of suspected end users of stolen crude and illegal refined products, such as asphalt plants, bitumen companies, hotels, and the likes. What this activity has led us to now is that being able to bring the price of illegal refined products to legally refined to near at a par. The difference is not up to a liter, it's not up to 340 naira as it is today. Again, the Joint Task Force has been able to bust a 4-man syndicate that specializes in the production of fake documents since 2021 for movement of stolen crude and the illegal refined product. As we speak, the syndicate has been lifted to Defense Intelligence Agency for further investigation. We equally have initiated the establishment of Operation Data Safe roadblocks along East-West Road, Port Harcourt-Aba Road, Eche-Werenta Road, Ele-Lowele Road, and the Bori-Abak Road, not minding the latest directive for reduction of roadblock. These roadblocks is selected and carefully manned, and the boys are doing their best to ensure that we interdict possible conveyance of illicit products. Other achievements by the Joint Task Force includes the activation of about over 1.5 million illegal refining sites with different camps, destruction of over 1,400 storage facilities, and 1,000 large wooden boats. Again, we've been able to arrest and appropriate handling of over 300 vehicles, comprising trucks, tankers, cars, tricycles, conveying crude oil and illegal products. Similarly, been able to handle over 15 million liters of stolen crude oil and about 4 million liters of illegal refined automatic gasoline oil. We equally have handled over 41,000 liters of domestic petroleum kerosene and a seizure of over 273,000 liters of premium motor spirit. The Joint Task Force has equally arrested more than 1,000 suspects in connection with various crimes, and they are currently undergoing prosecution, while some of them are set free after investigation. One other thing that is working for the Joint Task Force is enhanced community engagement and the mediation between international oil companies as well as local oil companies with the host communities, which of course have led to resolving of about 98 community corporate social responsibility related disputes with major oil companies like Chevron, CIPCO, Shell Petroleum Development Corporation, ITO, Nekonde, Total, so many of them. This is considered as our achievement because it has led to conducive environment for oil activity to thrive. We equally has enhanced synergy between government security and intelligence agencies, private security companies, local oil companies, as well as international oil companies, and other related stakeholders. In furtherance of the 90-day operation, even though it has ended, the CDS approved the extension of the operation to the end of the year to ensure that we consolidate on the achievement recorded. In addition to the ongoing operations, there are so many operations ongoing just to ensure that the 2.2 million barrel is met. In addition to these various other operations ongoing in various sectors, HQ OPDS has just concluded special operations in Zone 3 around Oyibo, Obuzo, Asa, Owaza, Ipu, south of Abia, and Imo, as well as River State, where activities of oil thieves were observed to be on the increase. These operations have yielded some dividend, positive results. Having said so much on the achievement of the Joint Task Force, I want to shed light on our challenges. All these achievements is not without challenges. But in the midst of these challenges, we've been able to overcome. So most of the challenges that affect our operations, not limited to them, but these are the major ones. Inadequate assets. The operations of Operation Data Set demand the availability of adequate and functional assets, such as gunboats, vehicles, tactical drones. When I mean tactical drones, the drones that have night capability. I want to applaud the Commandant General of Civil Defense for graciously providing 3 drones for the task force. Again, tracking device. We need more advanced tracking device. More so, the high cost of running and maintaining gunboats and vehicles deployment for day and night operations and surveillance is another challenge. To this, in the same vein, leveraging appropriate agencies to track incidences at their core takes time, which of course is a hindrance to our operations. Insufficient petroleum oil and lubricants. Petroleum, oil and lubricants, that is PO for short, has remained critical for our operations. The recent increase in the price of aviation fuel, premium motor spirit, and automotive gasoline oil has brought additional burden, additional financial and logistic burden to OPDS operation. But I wish to be bold to say that the defense headquarters have been very, very helpful in this direction. Hence, however, there is a need for assistance from relevant stakeholders, such as the NNPCL, international oil communities, as well as local oil companies, to supplement their allocation from DHQ, which of course some companies have already started doing. What about the inadequacy of houseboats and the porter cabins? Houseboat and porter cabins for troops are inadequate, and for us to maintain 2-4 presence along the pipeline, we need such assets to dominate the pipelines, especially with the new emerging threat of sawing along, cutting, sabotaging a gas pipeline. We need such provision. The most disturbing aspect of our challenge is connivance with the criminals. It has been observed with great dismay that some unscrupulous elements have been conniving with criminals for pecuniary gains. These criminals cut across board. While the JTF is intensifying effort to fish out these criminals, there is need for all stakeholders to do the same within their respective areas of operation. Having spoken on connivance, how it have affected our operations, permit me to bring to the fore the need for the pending draft copy of a standard operating procedure. A standard operating procedure that would spell out the guidelines for the operation of private security company is necessary to reduce the current friction between government security agencies and private security companies. Once this is done, I think the relationship as it is today will be much, much improved. Next is the slow recognition of reported illegal connections. Most times, when illegal connections are reported, it takes time for them to be reconnected. It's a big problem. It's highly counterproductive, and it makes the work, OPD's activities, to be as if we're not giving our best, as it creates opportunity for criminals to exploit for siphoning of products. There are therefore the need for an NPCL to cause concerned companies to always speed up clamping of reported illegal connections by own troops. Having said this, I want to look at abandoned wellheads. Abandoned wellheads, it has been observed too that during anti-crude oil operations, numerous wellheads were seen along non-functioning pipelines or within proximity to pipelines and oil fields. It was noted that most of the crude stolen from the creeks comes from these wellheads. Since the pipelines are not being operated, there is the need to deactivate or even clamp the wellheads. In this regard, complaints are often made to concerned oil companies regarding abandoned wellheads, but the problem still persists due to diverse reasons. Consequently, it becomes imperative to make concerted efforts to isolate or deactivate these wells. Alternatively, companies could be encouraged to clamp down the abandoned wellhead to about 5 meters depth. Having spoken on the need for the private security companies to work with government security agencies, I decided to bring to the House the overbearing posture of some of the private security companies. Recently, there have been an increase in altercations between private security companies and the government security and intelligence agencies. The private security companies are supposed to complement the efforts of the government security agencies, which is not the case at the moment. So there's a need. Most worrisome is the unsubstantiated accusations from private security companies against government security agencies. Be that as it may, I encourage own truths to work with mutuality, respect for one another, because we're all very, very germane and important. We're critical stakeholders to the fight against crude oil theft. Then, the problem of inability to contact some of the pipeline contractors. The OPDs do not have comprehensive lists and the contact of most of pipeline contractors, and it makes it difficult to relate with them. In this regard, efforts have been made for companies to provide the list of their pipeline contractors. Another issue is community-related issues. Some of the international oil companies, local oil companies, have resorted to multiple surveillance team arrangements based on right-of-way ownership in a bid to bring everybody on board. However, these are continued to cause disputes and a disagreement within communities due to exclusion of occupants of right-of-way who are not necessarily the initial owners, but then some of them are inhabitants. Also, the international oil communities and the local oil communities, international oil companies and the local oil companies sometimes fail to respect right-of-way surveillance agreement which had most often lead to acts of sabotage. Furthermore, both community fund and the board have not been fully established by the concerned parties as provided in Petroleum Industrial Act, PIA 2021. The HQ OPDS will continue to engage with relevant stakeholders and the communities to not cause the condition that will not be favorable despite these issues. Again, one of the most concern of our challenges today is the emerging threats. Criminals have resorted to employment of improvised explosive device to attack oil and gas infrastructure, which was the case in the past. The incident of 22nd November 2024 at the NNPCL Chevron joint venture debut facility in Warren, North Local Government Area of Delta State, caused a serious concern. Likewise, communities having disputes over expected benefits from oil companies could have resulted to sabotage of gas pipeline. The incident along NLNG pipelines, the incident of November 12, 22, and 29th, which of course they are recent. The criminal elements are continuing to use hacksaw to cut NLNG pipelines to sabotage gas flow on the pipelines. What is the troop doing about this? At the moment, we have made concerted efforts to track these suspects, both the one that happened at the Northwest Warri North and the one along NLNG pipeline. But most importantly, we have come up with enhanced security measures along pipeline. However, the OPDS is requesting that both stakeholders should support us to provide advanced tracking devices and other enablers to further nip these criminal activities on the board. Having looked at the challenges bedeviling this operation, I want to look at the efforts of joint task force to sustain the current gains. But I know that this is one thing the press will want to know. What are we going to do to sustain the current gain of 1.83 million barrels per day? The efforts of joint force in addressing the aforementioned challenges, and again, most importantly, to sustain the gains already, the feat we have already achieved, includes expanded community engagement. The joint task force will continue to collaborate with both international oil companies and the local oil companies to enhance expanded community engagement of right-of-way surveillance team to cover communities in the proximity of existing right-of-way which are not included in the current arrangement. This is to discourage community involvement in acts of sabotage and the connivance due to perceived exclusion and the negligence in provision of infrastructure to such communities which are not on the right-of-way or pipeline. This is what we want to do. And I want to equally say again, we are going to engage contractors in dialogue where we engage them and further educate them. We having spoken on expanded community engagement, I'll quickly look at robust stakeholders collaboration, which of course expanded community engagement appears similar, but it may not be similar. The collaborative effort of stakeholders will need to be more robust with intensified intelligence sharing to drive government security operation, government security agencies operation. As it is today, the sharing of intelligence among government security agencies appears not to be the way it ought to be. So we have developed mechanisms to further partner, to further share, so as to improve on the way it is now. This will ensure better coverage of oil and gas facilities, employing the limited available resources effectively by bridging the gap between stakeholders and the government security agencies. Also, we hope to extend our security coverage to gas facilities, which hitherto were not target of criminals due to the emerging security threat of attacks on such pipelines. Then, employment of advanced technology. The Joint Task Force will employ more of tactical drones and other enablers to provide online real-time coverage of activities in joint operation area. We will improve on collaboration, on sharing of tactical intelligence by both oil companies to reduce response time and reaction time. These are geared towards enhancing deliberate operation on the affected areas of infraction. We equally look at possibility of intensifying interdiction of end users of stolen crude and illegal refined products, as it was observed that several business entities, as earlier mentioned, such as asphalt plants and the likes, have continued to, they are not limited to them, of course, but they are the major end users of stolen crude and the illegal refined products. So the Joint Task Force has sustained interdiction of these end users to cut off supplies, and again, to make the products scarce, so as to bring the prices of both legally refined almost at par to discourage the producers in the forests. We equally have developed mechanisms to interdict corrupt elements within the system that had the tendency or that connive with thieves. Because we have observed that some unscrupulous elements, including everybody that has very few, not all, and they have the tendency to work with thieves. So we have developed, not only that we have intensified effort to fish out these criminals, we equally have developed some database where we compile lists. As we investigate, we compile a list, and then we enter our list. And even persons of interest, companies of interest, vessels of interest. Again, we have developed mechanism of blacklisting of defaulting stakeholders. The Joint Task Force employs the blacklisting approach of erring oil operators and the defaulting vessel owners to serve as deterrence in the fight against crude oil theft. This approach has led to strict adherence to the directives and the old SOP on oil exploration and the movement of products with due authorization. Again, having considered the antics of mischief makers in terms of those that could tend to downplay our activities or rubbish the effort of the task force, we considered robust engagement of media as one other effort to sustain our operation. In that vein, the OPD has continued to engage with media in addressing the contemporary security challenges in our 10 states, as well as enlightening the populace on the benefit of sharing intelligence and desisting from engaging in crude oil theft as inimical to the nation. In this regard, the OPDS has maintained a very cordial working relationship with the media, both print and electronic. Remarkably, Operation Data Safe depends on the media to inform the public about its operations, providing coverage for several of its activities. This has ensured that the populace are well informed to prevent mischief makers from spreading fake news to the public that will tend to dent or downplay our activities. It is hoped that the media will continue in this regard to complement our efforts in raising awareness of populace on the evils of engaging in these illicit activities. But at the same time, the media is pleased, requested, to continue to be professional by engaging in investigative journalism that will ensure that their reportage is balanced and not taking one-sided opinion. Having spoken on the effort to sustain the gain, permit me to look at our future projections. The following are my future projections. I'll look at the OPDS is planning to establish Operation Data Safe outposts along Imo River. Imo River is a contiguous zone bordering both OPDS joint operation, of course, by mandate cut across Abia, Imo, Anambra, which are states within the joint operation area of 82 div. Of course, overlapping. We've continued to work with 82 div, but we felt now that the OPDS could, in line with CDS directive, to see the possibility of establishing an outpost along Imo River. So it's our projection. Because it has been observed that Imo River is a major corridor for oil theft, illegal refining activities, and the movement of weapons in the southeast. Accordingly, the Operation Data Safe has carried out, and in this regard, the OPDS has carried out an assessment of the corridor to determine suitable locations to establish such posts, both in Imo and the Abia State, to checkmate the activities of oil theft and other criminalities in the southeast, which, of course, we hope that with that, the activities of IPOP and Eastern Network will be checkmated in the southeast. Another projection we are looking at is enhanced security measures. Of course, I've mentioned that, the JTF has continued to factor in emerging threats against oil and gas facilities, which, of course, were not the case. This, we have looked at leveraging collective effort of both government security agency, government security and intelligence agency, private security companies, and all stakeholders to identify, dislocate, and apprehend suspects to sustain this gain and to stop the picketing of gas pipeline. Having said all this, I wish to conclude having highlighted on the achievement of joint task force, challenges, and efforts to sustain the current feat. I wish to commend my troops for their unrelenting efforts and patriotism towards security and the protection of oil and gas in the Niger Delta. I equally wish to thank various stakeholders for their cooperation and the support in the fight against crude oil theft towards the socioeconomic prosperity of our dear country, Nigeria. Above all, I want to assure the populace that no criminal will take advantage of the Christmas period as the joint task force are deployed adequately in the joint operation area to prevent any criminal acts or sabotage that will be inimical or that will water down our current gain. Lastly, our gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen of the press, we are pleased to continue to be, I equally solicit again that you should please be professional. Do not report. We are not telling you to go out of your way to report what we have not done. But be professional in your reportage. This will help us to balance every act of us. Thank you, gentlemen.